Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel here on YouTube, where we've got the TNT takes for you on the Challenge Australia. I'm joined by, sadly, one of the contestants that were eliminated in the first episode here of the season. Susan, it's great to meet you. I wish it was under better circumstances and that you won the whole show, but thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
Great. I'm excited to be speaking to you, Chris. A little bit disappointed. Wish I had more time in the house and got to do more challenges, but on side circumstances, this is what it is, and I'm here.
Well, Susan, thank you so much, firstly, for accepting the call when it came, because without you, the show wouldn't be there. And I'm a big Challenge fan, and I was so excited to finally see the Challenge Australia be something that Australians can be proud of, and something that they have their own show now where they can shout for contestants. And without you, it wouldn't have been possible. I do want to know, were you a fan of the Challenge prior to the call coming, or how did that whole thing manifest with you actually ending up on the show?
To be honest, can I tell you a funniest story? I was binge watching the Challenge US, and I was falling in love with the characters, and I was loving it so much. And then my manager sends me an email. It's like, would you consider this? I'm like, why is he telling me that? Like, no, like, are you kidding me? These guys give their lives for this. But at the same time, I like the cool stunt, like challenges they do, like jumping out of the car, or kind of like being spun around and pulling this. I hate the marathons, like so going up the stairs and struggling for your life. But I love the challenges, and I love, me personally, as a creative, I love challenging myself. So to be honest, that's what motivated me to push myself, go out of my comfort zone, and but I had watched it before, and I knew what I was getting myself into. It wasn't a walk in the park.
Yeah, I saw in the preseason content that 10 Play put out there that you said you were asked for other reality TV shows in the past, but you've said no, and then you accepted this one. So what was it that sort of drew you to say yes to the challenge, where you said no to some others in the past?
And I think because it wasn't going to be like a glam thing where you're like, oh, I'm just on The Bachelor. Hey, I'm beautiful. Could you consider me? It's more like you have to fight for yourself to be in the house. But at the same time, also, I want to grow, and I want to do things that push me out of my comfort zone as an actor or as an influencer. I didn't want to be comfortable. I didn't want to be comfortable. It's the challenge. If you've watched the US challenge, it's like, this is it. If you've fallen in love with it, you see how people have grown and changed on the challenge. Like that challenge All Stars. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and you also spoke a little bit about representing as an African Australian and saying yes
Yeah.
to go on the challenge. Can you talk a little bit about that, and maybe the weight you felt on your shoulders to go out there and represent?
Yes, to be honest, like as an African woman of diverse and culture, this is huge. Like, I can't tell you how much support I've received from the African community in Australia. For them to even just see me get on, it's like, wow. Wow, we've achieved it. She's gone far. For us, that's an achievement, and they always see you as, she's not just representing Susan. She's representing the whole nation. So how I behave, how I act on the show is definitely reflecting on, sadly, on the rest of the African community. They're trying to see how far you go, and also just how you carry yourself on the show. And I'm proud to say that I did okay. I did give it my best, and to tell everyone there is a chance for anyone to be on such a show like the challenge, or anyone to do anything like what I've just done.
I can so relate to that. I'm from South Africa originally, and I always take note of anybody that comes over and does the challenge when they're from Africa. So having Esther and Tasha previously on the challenge from Nigeria, those were my girls. I was shouting for them that season. I was shouting for you this season. I really wished you could have gone a little bit further, but hopefully you do get a call back in the future if we get the challenge Australia season 3 or 2 and so forth in the future, because we've had champions of the show go out first and then come back to win the whole thing. So would you ever say yes to it if the opportunity came back?
I would do it again, and I'll come with a different game, different strategy. I would, oh my gosh, I would do it again. It was unreal, to be honest. It's something I would love to do it again, and I would definitely say yes.
Now, you mentioned a little bit about, not wanting to go on maybe like a show like The Bachelor where you're supposed to be looking pretty. There was a lot of people on this season that were from The Bachelor, and
Yeah.
all these different love shows. How did you find yourself gravitating towards people when you were in the house? Did you find it difficult to connect with those people? Who were you gravitating towards early in the game?
I gravitated towards obviously like Love Island, Audrey, my girl, Sugar, um, Jack, Sorrel. I think the real people, Broke B, Broke J, like the real people. Also Mali, like we had moments with them. So I was gravitating to the down to earth people, you know. But at the same time, I think they are all there to prove something to themselves, as much as they want the bachelor, because everyone has this stereotype. She's the bachelor, or she's this, she's that. There's no way she's gonna win that challenge, but they're gonna surprise a lot of people, to be honest. And I'm truly proud of every contestant that did get on the challenge.
Now, it's quite interesting. You mentioned a lot of people there. You did not mention Billy in that. And I want to know a little bit, how did this whole partnership come together? You go to your first daily challenge, and you and Billy end up being a duo working together. How did that sort of come together?
To be honest, it was so quick. It happened so quick. Like, so we're all standing in the line, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, and they're like, find your partners. So it's the first time. No one knows that you literally have to leave your position and go somewhere else. So people just started coupling around whatever was next to them. Unfortunately, Bill was next to me, and I'm like, I guess we're partners, but you know. So I ended up with Billy, and yeah.
What was so difficult in working with Billy during these challenges? Obviously, you had two different occasions where you had to work with him. Let's talk about the daily itself first. What was it like? You said you didn't like doing any marathon type of challenges. And of course, the challenge is going to make it hard on you on the very first daily challenge. And you end up having to do this big stadium, run up about 200 flights of stairs to go get these blocks or these plates that you've got to put onto your podium or your platform. Can you talk me through the difficulties of doing it? And, did it translate well on TV how difficult this challenge was?
I don't think it translated, to be honest. Like, I don't think people saw how difficult it was. My legs were burning, my hamstring were burning, like my legs were shaking. Everyone was shaking. People were throwing up. Like when we finished the first challenge, like people were puffing. People were like, "What the hell?" Obviously, even the strongest of the strongest were like, "That was something." We had to run like 12 a case of 12 stairs, but multiply that times maybe four, and then you have to go into the main stadium, climb up other stairs, find your token, go back down and come back again. You're racing with people who are like lions and tigers and hens and like different people with different physical capability, and some people are puffing, some people are crawling. You look at everyone, you're like, man, we're all gonna die. Like, who's gonna even win this? To be honest, it was intense. It was so difficult. Like when I finished that, I remember I just fell on the grass and I'm like, oh my lord, thank you. Like I can't believe I even went through that, But that's what I love about it, because you push yourself to the limit. You push yourself and you don't want to give up, and you don't want to look like I've given up on myself. But Billy was supportive in that one. It's just that, and after we finished that one, he started talking on the bus that he wanted to offer himself up, to go against Jack and Cyril. And that's where the problem came in, and that's why we found ourselves in that situation.
That's interesting. So he immediately after the daily challenge started putting a target on your backs by saying that he was happy to go down there. Did he say why he was happy to go down into an elimination? Did he
And
make that clear to you?
that was the mystery everyone was curious about. Like, what do you have against Jack and Cyril, and why do you think? Because no one was bringing up your name, so people were like, why are you even offering yourself to go up against them?
Interesting.
And he's offering himself, but he's not even thinking about me. First of all, Jack and Terrell were good friends for me in the house, so, and for me it was already difficult. So the fact that they were being targeted and they were emotional, they were crying, so I'm crying for them, and then he's putting me in a situation where I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, that's very bizarre. And I was sort of wanting to know, Jack and Sorrel became the targets very early on here in this first daily challenge by every team ending up putting the plates on them, and they end up becoming the last team here. How did that come together? Can you talk us through how the teams
And
decided that Jack and Sorrel needed to be that first team?
that's the drama that was caused in the house because Cyril and Jack were curious who started the rumor that they should be the target. And we found out that apparently people were saying Kiki or Kona and some people, but then when we watched it, it looked like Current said, let's let's take Cyril out because she's coughing. So I think
Hmm.
people are like she's coughing, she's unwell. No, someone started a rumor. She said she didn't want to be in the house because she was unwell, but Cyril never said that. So once someone did spread that rumor, it's funny how Chinese whispers always end up in a funny way, So people got frustrated. They're like, "Oh my gosh! Of course, it's obvious. She doesn't want to be here. Let's put a target on her." And that's how it started. And they got frustrated. Hence the fight you saw with Cyril and Grant,
Yeah.
because she felt like she was like, "Did Grant start it? Because he has an issue, with me. Maybe he didn't want me in the house." So these arguments started being in the house. There's a lot that you don't see, but there was a lot of arguments like, "Why do you want to sell?" And then Billy's so fixated on wanting to be part of the elimination. So I just copped it, and listen, I find myself in the elimination at the end of the day. Even in the elimination, it was so hard. Like, it's so weird because when we got in the house, I tried so many times to have conversations with him, and I'm like, "What is the strategy? Have you spoken to them? I really don't want to go into the elimination. I'm not physically, mentally, and in that right space. I'm
Mm.
emotional. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I don't want to go in the elimination." And he said yes, he didn't want to. And then next minute, there's these fights that he has with a few girls in the house. He apologizes to everyone. He's embarrassed about his thing, and then, oh my gosh, of course, the obvious. People don't want you in the house. They're like Susan and I had to cope it. I had to cope all whatever was happening. And I felt like he stole my chances to be in the house. Like, he stole those opportunities for me because he was fixated on his personal agendas he had with these people that I had no idea about. And, instead of talking strategy with me and working well as a partner, it was a Billy game thing. And I don't hold that against him. He played the game different in the challenge. And outside of that, I have no hate for Billy. I have no resentment towards Billy. But in the challenge as the game, no, it sucked. And I was a bit disappointed by his behavior and how the whole thing turned out.
It's interesting because on the show we saw Billy get upset with Emily or try and be almost intimidating in a way and saying that if I was to go down there, I would hurt Jack. And that seemed like Emily didn't really, that didn't work. And she called his bluff and ended up putting him down there. So very confusing behavior there because at one point you said he wanted to go in, but then he did also try and avoid going in by having that strategy there. And then you also talk about the potential that he had a beef with both Jack and Sorrel. Do you believe that that beef with Jack and Sorrel was something that he brought into the game, or was something that sort of manifested itself within the game itself?
Manifested within the game itself. I don't think he realized how that beef was, how strong that thing, because that's the challenge. You
Mm.
may have beef with people outside, and then you put it in the challenge, and all these things that you've had with these people start manifesting. And I think that's what happened. I don't think Billy found himself on the other side of the coin. Like he expected to see himself where you know what I mean? It
Yes.
manifested before him. He didn't know how to control it. Hence the aggravation. Hence saying things like, "Why do you want to hurt Jack?" He said those words. You heard him. So for
Mm.
me, it was a huge concern as his partner because I'm thinking, is this personal? Is it intentional? Like, what is going on with you? Talk to me. So many times I tried, and he would just cut me off, not listening. Even when we're in the challenge doing knots, tire knots, the game, the last
Yes.
elimination game, he just kept pulling me one side, and I'm like, "Can we do this way?" He's like, "No, listen, women don't tell women what to do. Don't tell men what to do." And I'm like, my soul was depleted. I was tired. I was emotional. I was just like, you know what? Whatever. We're just gonna lose this.
Yeah, it seems like a series of unfortunate events here for you, sadly, that put you in the place that you were in going into the elimination, and then being in an elimination like the Thai knots elimination with the pyramids. Communication is so important because you're tethered together. You can't work on separate parts of the challenge. You have to work together. So not communicating clearly with your partner seems sadly like it was your downfall in the game. Um, is there anything else you wanted to add about the elimination itself that we potentially didn't see, or did I get a pretty good sort of summary there of how things went in the elimination for you?
You definitely got the best summary. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way I could explain being tied with someone who wants to go east, but but you're like west is the best, but he's like fixed. Like, it's like he's in the boxing ring, and it's just him.
Yeah.
It's just,
Sort of as we're sort of getting to the end here of the interview, I wanted to ask you, who are the people that impressed you? Because you had a first-hand seat. You were right there with them, seeing how people performed in this first daily challenge. Who should we look out for this season that you think will be extremely competitive throughout the whole season?
Kiki was a surprise. I didn't realize how fit she was, and I loved her. And she was just a champion. She kept cheering me on when I was struggling on those stairs. Kiki was a big surprise. Who else was a surprise? Kieran. Kieran, I think Kieran coming out of The Bachelor and everyone's looking at him like a playboy. He's just a pretty boy that just wants to chill at the pool and drink cocktails. He was focused. Like, I never. He was like a road runner. Like, it was just like his feet were like, "Let's go." So I was quite impressed with him. Like, there's a lot of people that you're impressed with their physical and mental capacity to be able to do the challenge. So I was quite impressed with that. And of course, Marley, and and Emily, they are Olympians. It's how they think. It's how they see, you know, this. So that's expected. And Sarel also, I was very proud of how she performed because she was not well. She was actually coughing. She was so sick. So for me to see her go through was beautiful. I loved it, and I was proud of them for winning. Although we lost, I was very proud of them.
Yeah, she definitely has a big heart, fighting spirit, gets down there and fights really hard in this elimination. This is your opportunity, Susan. Is there anything that you would like to make people aware of, any of the fans of the show? Where can they find you, and what are you up to next?
Okay, I'm writing a TV series with Michael Bad, who produced Ruby's Choices, a film that starred Jane Seymour, Hollywood and UK star. So I'm working on that. And also I have my book. It's a memoir called The Immigrant That Found Her Unapologetic Voice. I should be releasing it soon, so look out for that. And of course, find me on all social platforms, Susan Mutesi. And yes, I would love to be friends.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. I'll make sure to grab your Linktree link from your Instagram as well and put it in the description of this video for any of those that are watching the video on YouTube. For those that are on the audio platform, I'll make sure to put it in the description as well. Thank you so much, Susan, and have a good rest of your day. All the best of luck with the rest of the interviews today.